Hey, hey, hey! Today, the 39 gets power windows. Bob here, Chopper Bob Customs, and I've got the 39 Ford back in the shop today. The big job that's going to be done on it is putting power windows in it, getting rid of the manual ones. As I'll explain a little later, the driver's side had failed completely, and so the windows rolled down, and that was it. But now we're going to be putting power windows in both sides, and I've got a few other little things I'm going to do to it that aren't going to be videoed. The video on the power windows is not going to be a step-by-step how-to. It's going to be more of a this is the type of thing that you got to go through when you're installing them, because each installation is different. This one's a little bit different because it does have the chopped windshield frame and the Carson style top. The Nu-Relic kit that we used on the doors of this is a super kit. I mean, it's very, very nice, very well built. You'll see the installation on this. I don't get any money from Nu-Relic. I'm also going to go over how we hooked it up to the Ron Francis Express fuse box. Again, I don't get any money from Ron Francis, but I just want to show you guys how easy the electrical hookup actually is because of the Ron Francis box. Some of the other stuff I'm going to be doing to it is putting a fire extinguisher in it. I'm going to go over and nut and bolt the whole car to make sure that it's everything's good and tight. And then I'm going to be doing a lube oil and filter change. Going to lubricate the chassis. That's something that you hardly hear about anymore because all the cars have sealed joints. This has Zerks on everything. It's got Zerks on the kingpins, on all of the drag link ends and tie rod ends, and also on the universal joints. So all of that got lubricated, or will get lubricated. And then I'm going to do an oil filter change on it. Because it's got a flat tappet camshaft in it, we're going to be putting in AMSOIL Z-Rod. In this case, the engine builders recommended 20W50, so we're going to go with the Z-Rod 20W50. If you've got a hot rod or a classic car that's got a flat tappet camshaft in it, they don't put the ZDDP in the oil anymore, so you've got to look for an oil that's got the ZDDP in it. AMSOIL Z-Rod, the Z stands for ZZDP. It has a lot of zinc in it that will take care of that flat tappet camshaft and the lifters, so the cam doesn't go flat and the lifters go concave. I'll have a link down in the bottom where you can get more information on Z-Rod and all the other AMSOIL products. Like in this case, we're putting in a 20 micron oil filter, AMSOIL oil filter. And in addition to that, we're going to be replacing the rear gear lube with AMSOIL Severe Gear 70W90 gear lube. Now this comes in the Easy Pack. If that looks kind of strange because you're used to the quart bottles that you put up in there and then you squirt rear end gear down your armpit. These Easy Pack packages, let me tell you, they are handy because you put them up in there, you basically roll it up like a tube of toothpaste. It squirts all the fluid in there. You don't lose a drop if you do it carefully. If you lose a drop with if you don't lose a drop with the plastic jugs, it's a miracle. These make it really, really handy to do a rear end lube. And it's full synthetic, it's slicker and it's not on a doorknob, and it really protects those gears while it makes the friction go down. Highly recommend this. And then I am going to be putting, I think it's in this one, he wants a container of our Performance Improver, PI. I'll tell you what, my Nissan pickup truck, I should put it in it all the time. The shoe repairman's kids go barefoot, mechanics are the worst. But every time my Titan starts running a little rough, I put one of these in on a full tank of gas and it clears it right up. This PI is great stuff. Highly recommend this. Now, I'm not getting a dime from AMSOIL to shoot this video. I am, however, an AMSOIL dealer. And like I said, if you want to learn more about AMSOIL, you can drop me a comment or click on the link down in the my description of this video, and you can go out and see all the fine products that AMSOIL does offer. And if I can be your dealer, I'd be glad to do that. So anyway, with that, let's go ahead and get started on this. And hey, subscribe, like the videos, leave a comment. If you got any questions about what I did or why I did what I did, or why I'm making these videos, leave it in the comment section. And then hit that notification bell, because I've got a lot of projects coming up this year. My thumb is not back to 100%, but it's getting there, and so I'm going to be doing some stuff. So stay tuned and stick around for doing the work on this 39. Thanks for watching. Okay, so for disassembly, you're going to need a hammer and a punch. This is an unknown size. Small punch for the pins on the door handles. I'm probably going to need a door popper for the Adele clips, and a Phillips screwdriver, which I've got on that. Now, this car, these door panels, I think were probably done about 50 years ago. They're obviously not the stock ones. They were custom. It fits the car. The panel itself isn't horrible. It's got a little bit of damage right here, the carpet, but the card behind it is in really bad shape. And so I've got to be really careful when I'm disassembling it to make sure that I don't make it so I can't reinstall it. Eventually, I think he's going to have all of this redone, but for now, it needs to stay as close as it can be. So the first thing I got to do is find the pins and drive them out. Okay, now, before I go too much further, I want to make sure that this is going to line up. And it looks about right. So these are straight blade screwdrivers, and we're missing one. Fortunately, the replacement comes with its own. Okay, so with that, I've got the old regulator out, and now the regulator does have an adjuster on it right here, and because this is a chopped top, I'm probably going to want to utilize this to keep the window from going up too high. Okay, so off camera I did some figuring on how this is going to work. There's some interference that I needed to address, and so what I've done is here and here, I don't know whether you can see those pink marks or not, but I'm going to have to make some cuts and pull this lip out. Going to have to do the same thing here on this body brace. Cut here and a cut here to pull that out so that the motor and the regulator can come this way and sit flush on this part of the door. And then I need to have access. I drew some holes just to remind myself where they're supposed to go. I'll have to figure out exactly where they're going to go once I get it off and get some measurements taken. But basically, I need access to the adjuster here and to the adjuster here to get the window adjusted so it doesn't go too far down and doesn't go too far up. And then over here, the switch that we have with this kit is kind of slick in that it is the one where you mount the stock window crank on it and push it down to put the window down and push it up to make the window go up. The deal is on this, since they're universal and this door is not universal, there's some interference here. And what I decided to do based on the interior panel and trying to keep everything working the way that it should work is that I'm going to go ahead and cut this rectangle out right here, and then I'm going to build a bracket that will attach, this will attach to, and it'll attach to the upper and lower hole that we're not using from the original regulator, and it'll also come over here and attach to the regulator hole here. So with that, I'm going to go ahead, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off, go get the tools I need to do this, and then I'll be back. Okay, I've thought about the best way to do this, and I decided that probably with the window up, with the regulator in place, I'm not going to be cutting that much, but to protect the glass and to make things go easier, I figured that would be the way to do it. I'm not going to make any hole here or here for the adjuster screws. I'm going to wait and measure that and then figure out some way to hold the window up so that I don't break it when I cut those holes. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make the cuts first for the release on the body itself, and then I'll go ahead and cut that rectangle out. Okay, so this hole is 7/8 of an inch back, and it is about 3/16 of an inch up. Just had to kind of eyeball that one. I'll make the hole big enough that I'll be sure and be able to get a wrench through there. And this one, okay, so with that, I need to go fabricate this piece right here, and I'm going to have to get back into my bead roller to put the joggle in it. So I'll be back. Okay, so the unit's installed, and the window goes up and down pretty good. There's a couple of things. You got to remember, even though this is designed for the Ford Convertible, I can't remember the year spread, but basically what that means is that this plate right here, behind here, that everything mounts to, is designed to bolt into this range here of convertibles, Fords. Now, the thing about that is it does not take into account the fact that this one is chopped. So while I've got the top adjustment set so that it goes up until it almost touches the bow on the Carson top, this lower one down here, I cannot get enough adjustment out of it to keep the window going down too far. Now, that probably won't be an issue unless when rolling the window back up it snags the interior trim, which is really what I'm concerned with. I think it will. So I'm going to have to figure some way to modify this lower stop so that it stops the window before it gets too low in the car. The other thing that I ran into is these back two bolts are no issue on the switch. Here again, this is a universal switch. These are really handy because you can use your stock window crank and put it on there and then just push it down to make the window go down and push it up to make the window go up. The car looks basically stock, but it has power windows in it. The problem is the back two bolts aren't a clearance issue, but that front bolt wants to tip this. And so I have a plan to get that fixed. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this and show you what I'm going to do to make that work. So this is what I worked out for the screw situation. I went ahead with the countersink and I countersunk that front hole. And then I did likewise on the mounting bracket. It's a little rough, but the way I did this one was basically I took a sacrificial oval head Phillips 1024 screw and backed it up on the backside with 3/8 washers, which the head of the screw would actually drop through, and I stacked them up and took it over to the vise, and with a series of tightening and then tapping with the hammer, I managed to put a countersink into the bracket, and then to make good clearance, because it does raise quite a lump on the backside, I went ahead and ground it smooth. So let me get this assembled and show. Well, here's basically I have a whole bunch of these, and the great thing about it was I'm not sure whether these are actually 1024 holes, but a 1024 fits it perfectly. It might be a close metric, I don't know, but I figured it would probably be metric, but to my surprise and happiness, the 1024 fit it fine. So let me get this put back together, and we'll see how it looks. All right, so there's the installation. These have serrated backsides of the built-in washer, so they lock. In order to facilitate a lock on this one, what I did was it extended through the switch housing, and so I checked it for clearance once I got it installed, and then I put a lock washer and a nut on the back side of it just for belts and suspenders. But the good thing is now the escutcheon fits flat. There's little, for the upholstery shop, there's places to tie it in so that it doesn't move around. So that's what it's rocking on. It's got plenty of clearance with all of the screw heads now. And then the handle goes on like that. And there you have it. And then okay, so the top lock is nearly perfect, but the bottom one I'm going to have to work on next. Okay, because this is a chopped top. The windshield frame's been chopped, and of course then the Carson top was made to fit the chopped windshield frame. The door glass is not as tall as OEM, and because of that, it doesn't need to roll down as far. So what I need to do is I need to move this stop right here, the lower stop, up. Moving it up would hit it into this gear right here, so I have to move it up and forward. And let's see, where'd I put my marker? There's my marker. Okay, so I need to be 3 5/8 forward of this, or behind this front hole. And because of the angle, it wouldn't hurt to be a little bit better than that. So I'm going to go right there. I'm going to go run a tap through this because they don't necessarily tap the hole all the way through, and I'll get the bolt to replace that one because now we're going through thicker material. I'll be right back. Okay, so with the longer bolt, I'll go ahead and snug it down on here. I'll do the final adjustment on the car once I get the window rolling up and down. For now, that moved it to where it should need to be to stop that arm when it gets down to the low part of the travel. Which I'm going to go ahead and pause this and go over and mark and punch the holes so that I have access for these adjusters. Okay, so what I've done is I've measured on the power regulator where the two holes need to be for the adjusters. The good thing about this is it doesn't have to be super accurate, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be putting this size hole in it right here in order to allow some movement around, so there's plenty of room if you're not dead on. So anyway, with that, I'll go ahead and drill the hole, punch it out, and move on to the next bit. Oh, one other thing. I did go ahead and raise the window up and clamp it in place. Drilling into the glass will definitely ruin your day. Okay, because of projects that I do have in the shop right now, getting back to the bead roller is going to be a challenge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure how big a piece of metal I need. I'm going to get a piece of 18 gauge, put the holes in it, and use a bead roller to bring it out. It'll actually stick out a little bit further than this relief right here. I measured it, that's about a quarter. My 1/4 inch beads will bring it out a little bit further than that. Not my beads, my steps. But that's okay, because you wanted a little bit out, because actually the way they made the switch, the holes are in a different location than the door handle, and so you've got a little bit of a odd deal going on there. And one of the other things about this is, if you notice, I haven't really been giving you very many dimensions. I'm really just trying to show you what's involved in putting power windows in a car. If you're interested in the dimensions for a 39 Ford convertible, with I think it's a 3-inch chop on the windshield frame and a Carson top, I could give them to you, but really I don't know that they do anybody any good. So my idea here is just go ahead and show you what's involved. And some of the stuff is straightforward. Like I had to make clearance right here. There's a flange, a double flange on the bottom of the door top here that prevents the regulator from sitting in here. And then the motor needs clearance right here on this inner door brace. Back in here, the channel for the glass. Now that doesn't always need to be cut, but the thing is, when the guy did this 50 years ago, he put some rubber tubing in there that was probably flexible then. It was hard as a rock now. But rather than put more holes in the car, I went ahead and used the same holes for the conduit, flexible conduit for the wires. If I had a virgin door, what I would do is I would probably have it a little bit lower so I wouldn't have to trim up this lower track. The thing is, with the chop, the window doesn't come anywhere near the bottom of that track, so it's not an issue. If you got a full top, you wouldn't want to do what I did there to make room for this. You just probably have to bite the bullet and put extra holes in it. Like I said, if the holes weren't there to begin with, I would have just put them down lower so I wouldn't have had to cut the channel. Beyond that, like I said, I've got to get this piece made, and then we'll start putting it back together. So when I come back, I will have this bracket made and hopefully have some primer shot on it, and we'll start assembling, and before long we should have window rolling up and down. So I'll be right back. Okay, so let's see, some things that we need to go over. First, the instructions say to drill a 13 30-seconds holes for the 3 mounting holes. That is not correct. Do not drill 13 30-seconds holes. I think they meant 13 64ths, which would be correct. Hopefully they've got that fixed. Now, I've got the switch wired, and the other thing about it is I had to switch the blue and the brown, and that's probably because instead of having my handles go forward, I've got them coming back on the car, so that when you pull it down, the window goes down, and you push it up, the window goes up. And I think they've got it, the micro switches wired up backwards from that so that your handle would go forward. The thing that you want to do though is before you get the whole thing reassembled and then go to check the windows with the door card on and all the trim and everything, and it goes the wrong direction, is you want to check it first. And that's what I just got done doing. And like I said, I knew that I was probably going to have to switch the brown and the blue. I went ahead and switched it before I assembled it. And so I'm good to go there. It's a little bit difficult getting the wires to go, the terminals to go all the way on so that they click, but that's important that you do that. Someplace around here, that pair of needle nose. The brown and the blue is easy, but the red and black is kind of in there where it's a little bit snug to work on it. And so you just want to make sure, because having them fall off will ruin your day too. Anyway, now the other thing about it is this is far easier to hook up once the motor is in the car. I just need to edit all of this. This is bad. I did splash a quick coat of self-etching on here just to make sure that it doesn't get rusty. Another thing that I did off camera was once I got it, the two holes that are the factory holes, I got them lined up and checked it with the door card to make sure that I was really close, and then I went ahead and tightened them up once I was satisfied with where it was sitting, and I drilled 2 more holes. So I've got 4 screws holding this in place, and the back 2 don't really have any adjustment to them. Okay, so there the wires are. I believe it's long enough to go around this back one here. We'll find out. Now the next thing I need to do is drop the window down and clean the track out. It's got a lot of crud in it. Okay, so if I did everything right, this should fight me all the way in. And then once it gets up into the right spot, it should be perfect. Oops, I'm gonna take these screws out. Made in USA. Hardly see that anymore. Okay, I gotta find the lock washer that skittered away from me. I think probably what I'm gonna do is wait until tomorrow to do the adjusting. Well, I may not do it tomorrow. I gotta do my taxes. Anyway, we'll see when I get this finished. But yeah, hang tight, we'll get her done. Okay, so there's a lot of fidgeting that I didn't record. Basically, it's just, sometimes it goes easy, sometimes it's very tedious. Getting the window oriented, particularly with this chopped windshield and the Carson top, and utilizing the pieces that the original Carson top had, and the fact that there's a slight bow in this window. It's very difficult to get it lined up, but basically you work it back and forth this way by loosening these 6 screws right here, and it allows that mechanism to rock back and forth. And then the stops, this upper stop right here, I ran out of adjustment before, well, it started hitting the gear instead of the arm. And so I had to do a little bit of tweaking on it to get it to stop at the right height on the upstroke. Amazingly, I eyeballed the lower stop on the bench, had it snugged up, brought it over here, and I figured I'd have to tweak it, rolled the window down, and it stopped exactly where I wanted it to stop. So all I had to do was tighten the set screw. You just never know about these things. But basically, it's all installed. I had to do a little bit of trimming right here and right here. This is a little different than the other side of the car, in that the other side of the car I didn't have to trim here, but on this one the motor sticks out far enough that if it were to vibrate it would rattle, so I wanted to eliminate that. But I've got it all installed here. I'm going to be putting the door card back on. Basically the door card, most of the Adels are either missing or broken, and because of the shrinkage of it from all the years, I mean it's probably over 50 years old. Bud's going to probably have to have upholstery work done on it. He's probably going to have new door cards made. But in the meantime, these will do just fine. And let me get this door card on, and I'll be right back to show you the finished product. Okay, so again, more fidgeting to get the door panel on. This fought me like nobody's business, but I got it put together, and so now a real quick test. Okay, so with that, this part of it's done. I've got 4 wires to hook up. I've got 2 grounds, and then 2 wires that'll go to the fuse panel. This has got a Ron Francis unit in it. It makes it extremely easy. If I want to put them on separate lines, I can do that, or I can put one I-ring on one terminal. They've actually got 2 terminals for 1 fuse for the power windows, so I'll probably put 2 terminals on and put one on one and one on the other. The Nu-Relics says to put a 30 amp fuse in it. This has got a 20 amp fuse in it. They're the micro minis. I don't know whether I've got a 30 amp micro mini, but if I do, I'll put it in there. The other great thing about the Ron Francis one is the power window fuse has 2 locations, and by moving it from one location to the other, you can have the power windows work anytime, regardless of what the key situation is, or you can have it so that it'll only work when the key's in the on or the accessory position. Pretty slick. And all he's got to do is just pull the fuse out, move it over half a step, plug it back in, and it goes from full-time to accessory on only. So I'm going to ask him which one he'd rather have, and put it there, and then he can change it if he desires to down the road. Real simple. Anyway, so with that, the power windows are in. Got the rest of the work to do on the car. We'll come back when it's done. There we have the door assembled with the door card, and it looks pretty much the way it did when it rolled in here with the manual windows, but now it's got power. So one of the things that I kind of wanted to show you is the Ron Francis. Hang on here and... All right. Once you get everything assembled, you've got 2 wires per door coming into the car. There's a ground wire that basically you just find a good solid ground, and I did it 1 on each side. So this was a ground that I already had on the driver's side. I set up a similar item on the passenger side so that I had a good ground over there. Just a spot on the dash support that I was able to take the paint off of, use a star washer and get a good solid ground. And then the hot wire that comes in, and that's those 2 red wires right there, one from the right side of the car and one from the left side of the car. And they go into the Ron Francis Express. Now this thing is just absolutely fantastic when it comes to adding accessories to your car. Of course, it's very clean from the original installation. But over here on this side, I don't know whether you can see it or not. Yeah, there it is. There's two terminals for power windows, K and L. And just a matter of putting a ring terminal on the wire. You have to fiddle with these little clips to get the covers, this cover out of place and then this cover out of place to get to the two screws that are in there. And yeah, just put the screws in and tighten them up and you're good to go with power. And then in addition to that, now Nu-Relics says to use a 30 amp fuse. So I put a 30 amp fuse in for the power windows, and you have your choice of, let's see, can you see that? Yeah, the ignition or straight to the battery. And you change that by moving the fuse from one slot to the other. Now I will give you fair warning, if you see that little bit of black right there, you have to be very careful putting that fuse in the battery side unless you disconnect the battery. My advice would be to disconnect the battery before you put it on the battery side. But once it's in the battery side, it's protected by the plastic cover on the fuse and you're good to go. And the owner of this car elected to have the windows be able to roll up and down with or without the key in it. So we're done with that. So there you have it.